Welcome to the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast, your home for all things football at Waldorf University, the best small college football experience in America. Hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson, from the secret bunker beneath Bullsdorf Field.
Welcome to this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. Here we are, folks, in the doldrums of winter.
It's a little snowy. It's a little windy. It's December.
It's Iowa.
It is.
So it's all those things. Yeah, Troy, I tell you. You know, our players are back. They got belly full of turkey. They're still probably coming off their tryptophan high. And, yeah, I mean, geez, you start talking to yourself, what do we talk about now?
Talk to a lot of those guys. They had turkey, obviously. Everybody does on Thanksgiving. And but then a lot of the guys also had ham and different dishes we mentioned.
We had ham.
Coming up to it. Did you?
Yeah. It was delicious.
We got a special guest in the bunker today.
We do. We brought back
conversation.
Yeah, we brought back one of the stars of our summer series.
Yes.
Waldorf University football head coach Tyler Chapa.
Some would say the star of the summer series.
Oh, I would say so.
The fairest of all.
Well, he had to be a
Three
little
of us.
careful.
Hey, a lot of these teams listen to our
Yeah.
I know they did, and that's great.
It was a good thing.
We got fans.
And I would love
Or enemies.
Yeah,
Well, Coach, what would you think about if we had if we had invited the other head coaches or somebody from their staff, from
Yeah,
the GPAC, to be on this, and not to set them up to be like,
No.
what'd you think about this? Because
No, you had some coaches come up to you.
who
during
are
the
your
season.
starters when we play? Can
Yeah,
you tell
what's
me
your-
that?
What's your game plan?
Yeah, what's the
looking like?
game plan going to
Exactly.
be? Don't worry, it's a year out.
But it's small college football is what it's all about.
it is
Growing it up.
And obviously, we want to kind of rub their back a little bit and tell them that hey, thanks for showing us the ropes this year, but we're coming for you next year. And
Yeah,
also,
really enjoyed letting you win that one.
yeah,
Letting you.
25, not the same.
you're welcome.
I mean,
No,
yeah.
it can't be the same. It cannot.
It's not going to be
I
the
don't.
same.
I'm
Not going to be the same.
confident that it will not be.
No,
the
for one thing, everybody that we visited is going to be at Bullsdorf Field.
same. Yep.
So that's going to be different.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, and speaking of some
And
of
we're
our,
going to beat them.
well, speaking of some,
We win every home game. Think of that.
You go ahead.
Sorry, man. I had all my. That was
No,
the last of my.
Finish your thought because yeah, and I'm good. Sorry, I was just giving you a bad time.
It's good. It's good. It's
You're like a
something
volcano.
When you come into the studio, it's like
No, you're just vacuuming and you got all this energy built
oh,
up.
Electricity.
yeah.
It's in the air.
I was vacuuming. You got to make the bunker look good.
Oh, it does. It looks wonderful.
You got a real tree in the bunker.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's Christmas season.
I don't know if you guys listen real close, you'd be able to hear "Oh Holy Night" playing in the background.
Oh, it is back there somewhere.
It is. Yeah, so speaking of our competition, the GPAC, right now there's 8 teams left in the NAIA
Yeah.
playoffs, and 2 of those are GPAC teams.
Yeah. How about it?
Yeah, Northwestern, they go take on Grandview, another Iowa school,
Yep.
on Saturday.
In Des Moines.
Yeah, and then I think our friends from Morningside, did they go out to Montana Western or something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they get to go out to past Dickinson. I hope they fly them.
I think they do.
Good, I hope so.
It's a long trip.
I
if they
think the
don't.
NAI helps to pay up to $20,000 of your trip.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Something.
Well, and that's good.
That's good.
But again, we wish the Mustangs and the Red Raiders good luck, and we want to see nothing but great things that were expected out of the GPAC. And I hope Northwestern goes down there and beats up those guys from that Hart Conference.
How about it? We got a local kid there at
We
Grandview.
do. He's doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sophomore this year.
Yeah. Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
yeah, recruited him pretty hard. Some hometown guys want to go.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all right.
Well, he's doing.
Sometimes those are the hardest guys to recruit, though.
It
Of
is, yeah.
course it is.
I completely understand, but it works out, and I wish. Wish Kellen luck.
He's having success, though. Good
But
for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wish Northwestern luck too. I guess it's nice to see.
Yeah, you always want to root for the GPAC
Yeah.
team.
Oh, absolutely. Want the
Yeah.
Red Raiders to
Yeah.
beat them up.
And we were going to go down there, but we've got 9 recruits on campus on Saturday.
Okay,
Nice.
that sounds
Heavy in the
good.
recruiting trail right now.
Yeah, they're going to be like, listen, we're a small school. They're like, doesn't seem like there's anybody here. Yeah, real small.
Yeah, there's professors, I think.
We have an extended break, which is, I think it's a great advantage.
It is a huge advantage. And our guys, I think for us, retention wise, it's been really good.
Yeah.
Because we can get all of if we have grade issues, we can get those solved pretty quickly, and then we can get our, what is our number to bring in for the spring if guys leave or whatever. We got a little bit extra time.
But speaking of grades, you did well. The team did well. You got some good news for us, Coach.
Yeah, I don't know, what people think about attrition in college athletics, but usually we lose 12 to 15 guys to grades, whether something happened where they stopped going to class or, wasn't taking anything seriously or just not super smart. We only had 6 guys get academically dismissed, which is the lowest it's been that I can remember.
Yeah, and you've been here for
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah, and I was our academic coordinator for a long time.
You're on the downhill slope of a decade.
Yeah. Wow. Say it like that. Yeah, no, but I was super proud of the guys. I mean, one of our best position groups, which is totally backwards, was our defensive line.
Whoa.
Yeah, their cumulative GPA was a 2.75 for that whole group of guys, which most of them, writing their name is tough sometimes.
Well, that is good.
Well, and there's a few of the, and if you if you probably take out the lower 2 or 3, they would be well up over 3.
Last fall, their cumulative GPA was a 2.2.
Okay.
So Coach Brummer's done a great job, and I give everybody's the head coach of their position and responsible for eligibility and grades and all that. And so we did study hall twice a week, and then academic meetings twice a week throughout the day just to make sure.
And that's cumulative grade point average.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big deal.
It
is.
Especially the deeper you get into your career because, your freshman year, if you blow it, you still have 3 years to fix it, buckle down and get after it.
The more credit hours you
that's
attempt,
right.
the harder it is.
The classes, as we all know, get harder in your junior and senior year. The first couple of years, this doesn't seem too bad.
We had some guys, some really good players that were academically ineligible this past fall that just absolutely killed it in the classroom.
Yeah.
Good.
3.3, 2.8. And so those kinds of things you can feel even for those guys, in a season where you're 0-11, those guys were ineligible who have played a lot of football in the past, still bought into what we're doing.
That's awesome.
It's always a good sign.
It is a good sign. That's good news. Good news for the team. If you feel like you're doing your job in the classroom and then and you've bought into what the program is up to, it just makes it like one big family, like we always say it is. And
yeah,
and seems to be how they feel.
I had my exit meetings with every single player, and only one of them told me he was not returning.
Okay,
we didn't have a certain major that he wanted, and respectable. Had battled through some injuries, and but everybody else. Yeah, coach, coming back.
That's good.
That is really good.
And the message to me from most of the players, and it almost sounded like they met as a collective group and had this same message because it was pretty similar from most of the guys. I doubt they did that. But, coach, we're already at rock bottom. No way to go but up from here. And so a lot of guys that played this year were young, and they're we're going to get some guys healthy and some guys eligible, and the guys that had to play we played 15 freshmen total this year.
Wow.
That's out of this world, but they're all going to be better for it. We've got a great plan for off-season speed training, weightlifting programs, summer stuff that we've got planned. So I think we're in the right direction right now.
Graduate 14 or 15 seniors.
14, yep.
14 seniors, and we already talked. We did an episode a couple of weeks ago with the seniors. Andy and I did not with them, but talked about them. And but 2 of your seniors, particularly, are specialists that you're going to have to replace. Long snapper Gerardo, honorable mention in the GPAC.
He's got a year left.
Oh, does he?
We found out, so he did not play his freshman year.
Okay,
so he is going to graduate, start his master's, and he will be back.
He will be back.
That's huge weight off my shoulder.
That is huge news.
That is
huge news.
However, punter,
Isaac,
and he's graduating.
He's already graduated. He's
graduated.
He's, doing
he's like working.
Yeah, he makes almost as much as I do.
He's working at Waldorf University right now.
Yep. He's going to coach next year.
Is that right?
He's going to coach our kickers and specials.
Perfect.
Yep. That is good news.
Do you have a punter figured out?
Yeah, well, we're recruiting.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
The plan is to bring in 2, and then bring in another kicker.
All right.
That's what we're trying to do.
Look, I mean, this isn't a negative thing, but like we're going to be punting.
Yeah.
So we're going to have it. We want to find that specialist,
Yep.
you know, and
Isaac's
in
been
this conference, you gotta. I mean, you're going to punt. So
and we got to cover it. We got to get better at covering it.
well, you know, we don't want them to return it on us. You got to get it down there, stick it right there on the 1 yard line somehow. Yeah,
Bounce it sideways out.
yeah, perfect.
No, but he's gonna do good. He met with me. Isaac did Friday before break, and that's what he wanted to do.
Great.
He said, I'm working here. I don't want to be done with football yet. What can I do?
And he's only 20 miles, 25 miles away.
Well, he lives
I
on
mean,
campus.
Yeah, I mean,
he
his
lives in
hometown.
the.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
kind of a hometown guy
Yeah.
if you think about it.
He's local.
Yeah, we consider Emmons local.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can hit a golf ball that far. Just kidding.
I mean, maybe if you're up at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Might be able
But it'll be good. That's what good programs do. They keep guys that have been in the program.
Yeah. Well, like, we talked about that when we were
good
looking
news.
at the GPAC, and you know those successful programs tend to have people on their staff that have been there. They were a player there, they were a GA, and then they transitioned into assistant coaching position. So, yeah, all that stuff's good. You know, we got Coop with the quarterbacks, and you know now hopefully get another GA in there that's one of our guys, and then also bringing in Burgett.
Yeah.
And we'll get more. We're always looking for more student coaches, and because our CJ Noak, our student coach that we've got on defense this year, did a phenomenal job.
He did.
He worked his butt off to learn everything, learn our terminology, how we're coaching it, and was able to help Coach Clary split up the inside and outside linebackers. So
Yep.
he'll be back. He's got 3 more falls with us too.
That's going to be great.
So,
It's going to be
yeah.
good for him and his career, and depending on how he does, and what's going on here at Waldorf, maybe we
He
just
turned into our signaler after the last 2 games of the season, which is good for Coach Clary because he can kind of assess. He doesn't have to be on the point at the line of scrimmage when you have somebody.
Now, for all of our GPAC rivals listening to this, maybe he's our signaler.
Yeah,
maybe he isn't.
You don't know who Coach Noak is. He can't. He wears a hat. You can't tell.
that's true.
He's
Wears a hat.
He's incognito.
Skinny kid.
Yeah, we'll have some dummy signalers.
You always use hand signals.
Yeah, we're a big sign language team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen it where they have, the big placards.
Yeah.
And whatever. Some of I don't know how. There's a code to everything. You know, one of them or a couple of them don't mean anything. It's just the order of things or whatever. And then I've. What other ways do people signal?
Yeah, some people have wristbands. And most of the big cardboard placards are all that stuff's offense. Defense, you got to look at the coach, and he's going to give you a quick little 2-3 signs, and then rock and roll. So, a lot of it is going to be wristband or what you talked about with the pictures, or just hand signs.
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
No coach to player communication yet, so the quarterback can't get it in his earphones.
Well, and in this year, you guys,
'Cause we don't have it, or it's not legal. It's not legal.
It's not legal in the NAI yet.
Yeah.
right? But this year, you guys actually had you were able to go back and review plays. I mean, how much of a benefit was that to your staff and to the players?
I think it was good for adjustments on the sideline, real time. As far as are we ever going to get any? I challenged 7 times and won 0. So I just don't think we don't have the angles for the clear and undisputed evidence for them to overturn a call. You know, you got what you got at the press box, and usually 40 to 40.
There was the fair catch.
There's
where-
a fair catch, and there was the Justice touchdown against Northwestern.
Isaiah Brown said, "No, he called fair catch," and sorry, we didn't catch it.
Didn't see it on the film. So
Yes.
I think the review stuff, I think it'll keep getting better.
Hope so.
But being able to watch the play pretty much right after it was over
Yeah,
was a huge help, I thought.
well, that's good.
And we have used in the past, before we were in the GPAC, we've used GPAC officials for games and that type of thing. Now, obviously, every game we played this year is GPAC officials. So talk a little bit about the pros, cons, I guess, the improvements, the differences in the officiating between, this year and the GPAC and what you've seen in the past with the,
the GPAC was very, very professional.
Yeah.
You can it's almost a new white hat guy every time, so you can tell the officiating pool is huge
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the same referee. Whereas in the NSAA, you're getting the same guys almost every time. It's not a big league, so you don't have a ton of dudes. But very, very professional. I've got a good relationship, I feel like, with a lot of those guys. And that was my goal, to kind of get rid of that stigma of maybe people thought we were the villain or, whatever. We're the new guy. Nobody knows anything about me. As long as they know, I never even yelled at a ref this year. It was all, hand on the shoulder talking, because they're not going to change the call regardless. The call was the call. I just need to know, why did you call it, and what can I tell my guy to not get that called again? And so, very professional crews, and I don't have anything bad to say about any of them. I mean, refs are refs. They're going to not make every single call. They're human.
What was that? Wasn't there like a sideline call that one time? I feel like that in conjunction with something else that had happened. Was that with Justice? I feel like we had two calls that time.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple unsportsmanlikes.
On sportsman.
Which we deserved. If you're mother effing the ref. Buddy, you're not gonna. No. Yeah. So and we had a couple character meltdowns. That we deserved, but I mean, we had one where Luke Byer,
down on the end zone,
was maybe talking a little bit too much. They threw the flag. I walked over to the head official and I said, "Hey, before the game, I told you if my guys are talking too much, tell me. I'll get it fixed. Give me a warning or something." I'm sure he didn't, because they talked about it, said there was no profanity used, and picked it up.
Yeah.
So, but if I went over there like, "Hey, what the f- are you doing?"
Yeah.
They would have kept it. It's all about, I believe it's all about your relationship. I don't know their names. They give me these cards and I look at them like, I'm not going to remember your name.
No way.
I just, hey, sir.
Yeah. You really probably only have to remember the
white hat.
Yeah.
Because you get the two guys on each sideline switch at half anyway. So
Yeah, I try to make sure they're watered.
You do a good job.
Well, that's one of my things. I figure if nothing else, I want their experience to be here, to be a happy one.
We weren't penalized very much all season.
No, we did well.
No,
he's one of the.
Give us that.
Yeah.
We won the penalty margin.
Yeah, well,
3 or 4. Not even 3 or 4 every game, but I mean, I'd say it probably was averaging about 3.
We had a 3-game stretch where we didn't have a single penalty. That's crazy. Maybe we're not playing hard enough. But
I don't know. I don't recall that, but at the same time, I don't pay a lot of attention to penalties. I mean, I might have fits when they don't call a holding or something like that.
They don't seem to like to call a lot of holding. There must be a different definition in the GPAC of what holding is.
Well,
no, I think they're it's a very physical league, and I think they'd like to let things play. They didn't they called some PIs that were kind of ticky tacky. But for the most part, I thought they were letting the guys play.
Yeah,
pretty.
And that's a good thing.
It is.
I mean, as long as their job is to make sure that everybody is nobody has an advantage, and also to keep people safe.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't, I have binoculars when I'm calling the games, but I'm not looking for. Occasionally, I'll see something like, "Ooh, they missed that one."
Yeah.
But I would say it's mostly from like the away games that I went to, which was all of them, and I will say that those, not me, but there were some parents who are, more expert in football than I am. They were quite certain that there was a lot of holding going on.
Well, there's always that.
So is Coach Clary. He's going to hear this, but he's on the headset. I can hear him screaming for holding all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, brother.
I've heard him screaming for holding.
They're not going to look at you and be like, "Oh, you're."
But he was screaming for holding in high school too.
I know.
Like
it's just a defensive coach thing.
That's what they isn't that right?
Yeah, it's just you want every little thing to be called.
Exactly.
But
not fair.
That's right.
Towards the end of the season, he would just kind of get to the next play.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter. They're not going to look at you and be like, "You know what, Coach? You're right. Here,
what number of the guy was holding?"
Yeah.
Oh, 74. Okay, yeah, we'll call it.
You're the 8th guy in our ref crew here.
They don't ask the coaches what's going on. I was at a high school football game 10, 12 years ago, and my older boys were playing in that versus Clear Lake. Big rival, even though we're not in the same conference.
Yeah.
Although, from what I understand, Forest City now will be in their conference in the next couple of years.
Good move.
Which is kind of cool. I think that's the right move. And that's what I said in the school board meeting. But I think that they had Fred Week was their legendary coach for years at Clear Lake, and on the far side, so the visitor side of the field down towards their end zone, a pass was questionable whether it had been complete or not. And the ref turned and asked Fred Week, and it was to their player. And Fred's like, yeah, he caught it. Well, we're all like, well, of course, that's what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he did. I mean, Fred was
I've
right
never
there.
heard of that.
Yeah, but yeah, and maybe only
I was the same. I was the same way when my first year here. I learned very quickly because I was complaining almost every pass play about pass interference, offensive pass interference. And I'm always asking for it. I'm always talking to the ref. And Coach Finley was like, you got to stop talking to the ref. You're not the head coach. You're not the coordinator. Quit talking to the ref. He's not going to like us because of you. And so this has really, like, last year was really my first year actually being able to talk to refs again, which was.
Well, that's a thing too. You got to learn. Head coach, you're coming in, and as long as your first season in the GPAC, now those officials are going to know, like, well, they're reasonable.
Yeah, they know they can talk to me, and I'm not going to just lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not a big lose my mind guy.
No, I only had to do that like twice this season.
I know officials don't like that.
They don't, and I generally try to. I'm far enough away from it, and I don't.
All about relationships.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they like me. I mean, because
you bring them water.
You hydrate
Yeah,
them, and there's probably
exactly.
vodka in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something extra.
Yeah. They always say,
Here's for that holding call.
yeah. Well, and then there
You
was,
say it's like it's the fluorine, it's the fluoride.
yeah. And there's times where it's like, if I feel like they blew a call and it'd be like, all right, it's quarter. I'm like, I ain't going to take them water. Not right now.
Yeah.
I'm mad at them. Right?
Exactly. I'm a little upset.
I can't get the water out to you right now. Yeah. That's funny. I think that our mutual friend, Carl Woldridge, who's a officiating extraordinaire. And,
He is.
He has been on my other show and talked about all kinds of officiating things. And they're not huge fans of screaming. It doesn't accomplish anything.
No,
It really
you're
doesn't.
not going to change any calls. The point of talking to the ref about a call they already made is hoping that they don't make that call again.
Right.
Because you maybe had a discussion about it.
Right.
But if you're screaming and hollering at them, they're going to look at you and throw the flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah.
Well, and Carl is, I mean, he does football, volleyball, softball, basketball, and anything in that confined space, that's where the fans get even more caustic, it seems like, or at least you can see them and hear them a lot more.
Oh yeah.
Like basketball games, they're just brutal. And
I will
hate that.
admit, I heckle Carl every chance I get.
Sure. Well, he has
as a friendly,
I think he expects
a couple times he was on the away sideline for a 4-city game, and I'm just,
Oh yeah.
hey,
Oh, absolutely.
Carl, you need $20 to make the right call.
He walks with such confidence.
He does.
He puts those stripes on. You can't tell him nothing. He's the boss.
Yeah, he does, and
I love
think
it.
that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it is.
You got
funny
passion
about that.
for it, dude.
He told me a story once. So another legendary Iowa high school football coach, Ed Thomas, rest his soul, Appleton, Parkersburg. I don't know how many NFL players came out of AP.
Good school, yeah.
Quite a few.
And the Sacred Acre down there and that whole story. But it's not about Ed, it's about his son. Now, his son is was the basketball coach for AP as well. And Carl just is like, his voice, he screams at the refs, and it just is so piercing and stands out in such a high-pitched way that it just drives Carl nuts, So he did say that's the only one by name, and I won't say, I can't remember his name. Yeah. Well, I think it's Aaron, but but either way,
I won't say his name.
Yeah, I was like, well, I couldn't think of it at the time. Now, but I mean, he probably knows that, and maybe he uses it to his advantage. I don't even know if he's still coaching basketball, but Carl was like, oh, that one, he gets it, all the time. Yeah.
Well, it's not an easy job, and there's not a lot of people signing up for it. There's a shortage of officials, especially at the high school level.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different contests and so many different disciplines. But it's got to be pretty tough for these officials when they go out there and and generally you don't see it a whole lot from coaches and players. Because the officials can do something about it, but some of those fans, and I used to go to almost every home basketball game here in Forest City, and I just probably over the last decade, I don't like to listen to it. The experts of, they're going to criticize the coaches. They're going to criticize some of the players on the floor. and they're definitely going to be all over the officials.
Oh yeah.
And like, come on.
But those are parents that are doing that. The kids don't do that these days.
No.
Which is
I don't let our
what-
kids talk to the officials.
What happened was
Yeah.
is that when I was in high school, we were the wicked ones. We were the
Yeah.
hecklers, and that was part of the student body experience.
Yeah.
Particularly in a basketball game, is that we were just wicked.
Brutal.
Oh yeah.
Wicked. I once told this, I could time the perfect cutting remark just before the release of a free throw that I felt was very effective. I felt really that I was the sixth member of the team. And in Osage, a future Waldorf alum with me in my class was playing basketball at that time. He had very dark red hair. And just as he was shooting a free throw in Osage, I yelled, "Fire crotch." At that moment. And he doink, and just turned and looked and glared to see who it was. Fortunately, there was a lot of us in the student section, and everybody was giggling and tittering and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm sure
That's
the
inappropriate.
opposing- yeah.
Completely.
But it's
Hilarious.
So we grew up and we didn't grow up in the time where high schools were like doing the sportsmanship. Maybe that's
No, there
why.
wasn't any of
There
that.
was no sportsmanship announcement before the game.
We might have ruined it for
Waldorf
everybody.
University and the NAIA want to
always-
remind each of you.
Yeah.
And it's like a
Yeah.
whole thing. It's like, that didn't exist.
There's a reason why rules are now rules because of folks like
People
you.
like us.
What are you
Well, we had
Wrecked it.
a
What are you
situation
doing?
in Forest City when I was in high school, and I didn't play basketball in my junior and senior year, so we led the crowd, and we had a lot of fun. We were the bleacher creatures, and
Yes.
we all dressed like idiots, and we were raucous. And I was myself and Tony Stephenson and John Hintz we would get right down there, and we were the stars of the show. And one time there was like a blocking call. One of our guys, the good guys, tried to get over to the sideline and planted a foot, and we thought it was a charge. Well, it wasn't. It was a blocking. So the official, of course, whoomp, blocking call. So we, of course, start the chant. The ref beats his wife. The ref beats his wife.
My goodness.
Now, we thought, how clever.
That is clever.
Larry Holstead almost assassinated us
Yes.
right on the spot.
But
almost
see,
killed every one of us.
That's the difference. If it's a bunch of kids, the crowd, the parents are acting like adults, and they're not shouting that. And the kids are doing it, and they're like, and then the principal can say, hey, I'm,
That's
and
cool.
get after
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Now, the kids are doing the roller coaster thing. You can't do and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's like all friendly.
The PG stuff.
And then I'm not advocating for us to go retro.
Come on,
but
let's
go
back to the
do
day.
not do that. I am
people-
a
but
bad example.
The parents that you're sitting with in those games are our age, and they didn't get that lesson
No.
in sportsmanship.
They didn't have Larry Holstead threaten their life. And now Larry didn't do that. He's
Yeah.
not that kind of dude, but he
Yeah,
did
but
make
you
it.
got the, I mean, I understand.
He made it very clear
He could
about
just look at you.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh,
Oh yeah,
time to-
yeah. He was
Larry
my
Holstead,
football
Hall
coach.
of Fame,
Time to cool
Winona, AD.
Yeah,
Winona
so
State. Yeah.
that was an interesting day. So anyway, enough about Forest City High School athletics.
Yeah. But
Coach, what are we doing from here?
That's
what
interesting.
are we doing?
What are we doing now?
Well, we are recruiting our tails off right now. I've got all my full-time guys out and about.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Brummer and Coach Ani are up in Minnesota. Me, Clary, and Donadio are out and about in Iowa. I'm more local than them. Clary's going more west, and Donadio's going more east. So
Nice.
recruiting, we've kind of, we've I think, barring anything crazy, we've retained pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Better than I thought we were going to.
That's good.
Just in a season like this, and college football nowadays, people can try to jump ship and go somewhere else. And I think people are bought into what we're preaching, culture wise and family wise and everything else. And so I think we retained well. Now we're recruiting, and then in the off season, that's when you develop.
Now, do you have a like a distinct plan for recruiting, like with your staff as you go out there and you're looking and talking to coaches, talking to players, prospects? Are you prior to all that happening, you guys sit down and you just like on a whiteboard or whatever and be like, here's our depth chart, Here's what we need. Here's where we are. Here's our depth. You know, I mean, is that something that so that when they're out there, they're just like, you know, it's not just, hey, I got.
Yeah, so for our fans,
I got somebody that said yes, and like, we don't need that guy. We need, you know.
Well, so NAI recruiting's different because you need, you know, you're enrollment driven. So we're not going to turn anybody away if they're interested in the program. But from our viewers here on ESPN2, I've got everything. We have QBs, running backs. I've got on the top number how many we have on our roster. That bottom number is how many I would like to bring in just to have a healthy. Because I do want to have some developmental games, some JV games. I asked a lot of our young players this year, you know, if we had these more so, would you be offended by this or not?
Yeah.
Do you? Because I don't want you to think you're lesser of a player. You're just not ready to play. And so every kid, you know, that did not play this year that was just a tackling dummy said, yeah, that would have been awesome.
You got like well, another honorable mention in the GPAC, Luke Byer, senior. I mean, he didn't play much. And then now look at him. You know, he had a senior year and he's just killing it out there. And I mean,
he's got another year left too.
He's the guy you want to talk to these kids that are saying, listen, if we recruit somebody over you, where are you? You know, and Luke's the kind of guy that would be able to say, I'm here to play football.
And it's our guys right now. It's their job to keep their job. And what are you going to sacrifice to do that? And you know, you're exactly right. Luke, think about Luke is a great example of where I was kind of going is we have so many guys on our team that played this year that this was their first year playing. Whether they're old guys or young guys, like Luke Byer, first year playing, Deontay Morgan, first year playing, Jack Thompson, freshman, first year playing, defensive line, a bunch of freshmen, offensive line, a bunch of freshmen. Chris Walter, our quarterback, grad student, first year actually playing. So like the sky is, I mean, we haven't even touched any sort of potential. This was a really good, you know, benchmark of, all right, this is different than maybe everyone thought. We knew it was going to be hard, but we weren't even remotely strong enough or tough enough or anything else. So when we're doing everything in the off season, guys can't get mad at me. They can't say, Coach, this is too hard. This is BS. No, we're 0-11 right now. What? Really, it's too hard. You remember Morningside came here? Like these are the experiences now we can lean back on instead of complaining about.
For sure.
You're easy company. You're a band of brothers, man. I mean, this is easy company. You got to train harder than everybody else, and then you know, you're battle scarred. And you know, you've been through some stuff now, and
and if you stick together through that, that's what makes good teams. When people start jumping ship and you have to recruit 80 guys every year, and hey, this is the culture, this is what we do. It gets tiring to have to do that. Imagine if we can keep 30 to 50 guys over the summer. They're all working out. They're all, you know, maybe got part-time jobs, and then we do football stuff. So then when the rest of the 30 kids come, or, you know, when the rest of the team comes in August, you have this huge group. If that kid misses practice, I'm not the one telling him, hey, this isn't how we do it. You got a whole group of young men that were like, dude, this ain't what we're doing. We didn't sacrifice the end of our summer for nothing.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of the goal going forward.
Well, speaking of summer, though, by the way, I think the last thing about a band of brothers, you need to find yourself a Currahee. Maybe it's the Pilot Knob Tower. You know, you got to start from the gate and run the whole team up the hill. I think that's 2 miles to the top of the tower.
It'd be pretty close. Actually, I've been walking.
We can do some things like
I've been walking out at Pilot Knob pretty much every night.
Yeah, beautiful.
I need to spend more time out there. I've only been there twice. That's bad, isn't it?
No, it's a great time. This is my favorite time of year out there. Last night I was walking the equestrian trail from the road by the tower, and then it goes up behind the tower and ends up going past the campground and ends up down by the main gate. And I saw a monstrous buck. Huge.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely huge. And then he was snorting at me and everything else, and I thought, well, there ain't a lot of trees around here, so if he decides it's going to be him against me, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask for a salvage tag because I'm going to kill him. I don't know.
You got them big old hands.
He doesn't leave Pilot Knob. He's like, State Park, I'm not going outside this time of year. Let the ladies come to me.
Well, it's good that you got the plan, you know, that you know what you're looking for. You don't just sit the coaches down saying, boys, It's a tough year. We were 0-11. Go get me some dogs.
Yeah.
And then everybody puts their hands in the middle and go.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I don't know what he means.
You know,
Or like the National Guard. Your mission is 24. Just get 24.
yeah.
Anybody? Anybody.
Anybody. And sometimes that's what it ends up being is, but again, our job is to develop kids, whether they're the best player ever or maybe they didn't even play a lot their senior year. If you want to come play football, we'll give you an opportunity and we can develop you. But the other thing is we are trying to bring in anywhere from 10 to 20 mid-year transfer guys.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be some of the older guys that certain positions we're challenging the guys that we have already. All right, hey, we brought these guys in. We're still going to be a family, but they're here to compete with you for a job. And that's
But the reality is that at the beginning of the season, you weren't probably thinking that, well, Jack Thompson's probably going to get a lot of playing time.
No, I thought Jack was going to play special teams. I told him that in his exit interview. I said, super proud of you, buddy. Didn't think, small town football, you'd ever get especially at corner, you never know. What you're going to get. You probably never played 13 different coverages like we did. You've never had any of these checks, and the way he was able to pick some of that stuff up, and he was voted all conference by the I don't get to vote for my own guys.
Yeah.
I get to nominate and give a little note, and there was a lot of really good return men in this league, and
yes, there
and
was.
he was one of them.
Absolutely.
I don't think that he got a lot of, and this isn't a dig on high school football. It's hard to, with a high school football staff, it's hard to, get in specialized positions on anywhere. So I think he learned a lot of that just in this year.
Yeah. And props to him for wanting to play defense too, because a lot of kids like him where, maybe you've produced more in high school on the offensive side of the ball because it's a little bit easier. But for him to come in and say, no, I want to play corner.
I'm guessing the morning
It's going to be
side.
hard, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the morning
How fast
side
can you
coach.
run backwards?
Yeah. No, the Morningside game was huge.
Yeah.
For him. Even, he gave up a touchdown, 2 touchdowns to number 9, who's going to be an All-American football player, by the way. But he's freaking hip to hip for him. And I told him this at the end of the year because I was a big, older brother type of relationship where put the arm around, walk back, and say, hey, man, we just need to teach you how to finish at the top of the route. We've talked about it, but if we haven't got a ton of reps at it, you'll be all right. You're there. At least you're there.
Yeah.
Whereas going forward, he's no longer a freshman.
Yeah, that's right.
The tone will change. He's going to be an
buddy.
older guy that's
What are you
played.
doing?
Yeah, he's going to – I'll treat him like Kaysen.
I learned stuff too. Like you explained to me what he did wrong, and I was like, that makes sense. Hand follows the eyes.
Yeah.
So if you got hands got to go up when you're.
It's
eyes,
all little nuances that
Yeah.
you're not taught.
I didn't know that.
I think about kids that, like a kid like Adrian Soto, big dude.
Huge.
But at the same time, he's got a little nasty in him. And he loves this
He
program.
grew up. Oh, he's recruiting for us.
Oh, yeah.
He sends me guys every day. Coach, this guy just got an offer from this school. You should go after him.
And you talk to him, he'll wander into my equipment room and he'll just stand
That's
there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Soto, what's going on? Nothing.
Nothing.
Just standing.
You get those guys that are bought in like
I
that.
know.
They really get the picture.
And the kid from Las Vegas, right? You never know how some of these guys are going to pan out. And, he wasn't supposed to really play a ton either, but some injuries. And he battled through injuries, but he's 325 pounds. And, we didn't give him any weight goals at all during the season. And he's one of the last guys off the field because he's running a couple gassers to get himself into shape without any coach telling him to do that. And as a 17, 18-year-old kid, we did, he'll be a captain one day.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And then I was really impressed with Jamari Porter was one that on the
He's an
defensive-
ambassador of the university now.
Yeah. I mean,
Gives tours. Yeah. No, we have a lot of really good
That's
guys.
the business.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the business.
Yeah.
If you look, you've got your staff out there recruiting, and they're out there doing their best in these different places, and they're talking, and they know the business and the numbers. But man, if you can get that team effort,
Yeah.
and you got your players that are like, hey, coach, you know about this
Jamari
guy, you know
Porter.
about this guy, you know about this
Yeah.
guy. And you got. I don't know how many that takes. Whether
Jamari
it's
gave
10,
us
20
3
of them,
kids already. He's got a cousin that plays defensive line. That's a dude, man. And it's just,
come on, fam.
yeah, come on.
Yeah.
It's great here.
love
Maybe
that.
somebody that
Yeah.
doesn't come from a great area. And it's
Sure.
like, some people come here and they're like, oh, this place too small. Some other people come here and they're like, wow, I'm safe. I get food every day. The coaches love me. So there's two different perspectives. Of
Yeah.
It's what you make of it.
Well, and then a kid I was really impressed with near the end of the season was Marcus Arthur.
Yeah.
He just, man,
I coached him hard.
Yeah, and it paid off.
And it maybe hindered him a little bit. Just again, how quickly could I have built a relationship with him? Coach or recruiting him in the summer. He doesn't really know me. I don't really know him. Taking a leap of faith, and he gets here, and I expect him to be good and play.
Yeah,
and I'm just all over him all the time, and maybe not the right way to do it. And in our exit meeting, he said, looking back, I really appreciate that. Don't stop doing that. I didn't know how to handle that from you because I didn't know you. And I was like, well, now you know I love you, right? And he's like, yeah, sorry about that.
And I really, obviously we still have a lot of growth in our program, continue this culture building, continue what we do at the base here at Waldorf football. But then it's like, you start looking around the locker room, we got a lot of dudes coming back,
Yeah.
I mean,
more than we ever have.
Nico Page is coming back, obviously, and a team leader. I saw him. I mean, his first few years, he scared of his own shadow almost, and Waldorf has really brought a lot out in a guy like Nico. And there's so many leaders on this team, and you want to name every one of them because they're such great people.
It's so hard to imagine Nico not Nico on the defensive line as an end just a monster. It's hard not to, but you meet him in person and you're like, this is the nicest dude I think I've ever met.
He's a student ambassador too. And so that's really who,
do our little coaches interview with him last year. He couldn't stop rubbing his
nervous.
He was so nervous. He's just like, we should probably get cameras at some point. I was, but like he's rubbing his thighs. He's nervous. His shoulders are up. And then this year he did it again. And you're like, but Nico, I mean, cool beans, right? And he's like, still rubbing us a little bit, but shoulders not as high.
Yeah.
Like he's
growing up.
Yeah.
No, and that's the best part of this job is watching those guys. I remember I told him, I've only met his dad one time. His dad's been to multiple games. I gave him a little crap because I haven't seen him since the day that he moved in as a freshman. I remember he was about 235 pounds. I looked at Coach Finley. I was like, you said he's going to be good.
Yeah.
And, didn't play.
And his bench was like 135.
Yeah. Didn't play freshman year. Didn't play a ton sophomore year. Played a lot last year and started every game this year until he got hurt. So he's got another year left too. He graduates in May, wants to get his master's. The fact that guys graduate and want to stick around, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, we got a lot of great kids coming back, and whether you saw them on the field on Saturdays or not, we got great kids in this program, and we're so fortunate to even just to have them in our locker room because it's fun for you, Coach, for me being in the locker room as much as I am, seeing the kids go from, and Luke Byers, the perfect story.
Yeah.
Luke was that kid that was on the sidelines, goofing around when he was a freshman, to dialing in as he got older, getting out there, doing what he needed to do. And I loved watching Luke when he would have to try to crash in on a stunt because he gave every ounce of his body and soul.
He's a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, you saw him just gear up like, oh man, it's going to be a hit.
And he was fourth in tackles this year.
Yes.
In the entire GPAC.
Yes, he
For
was.
a guy that this was his first actual season playing every snap and multiple special teams.
We didn't have a ton of guys that this wasn't their first year.
I know.
I mean, there's obviously you got your Case and Handles that, I mean, I don't know, Kaysen turned 35 last week or something like that.
His arm was falling off.
Well, yeah, he couldn't use his arm, but yeah, because I still remember it was the Dak West game, and he was talking to his brother. I said, "So, what's the goal here?" He goes, "I just want to make it through the first quarter."
Yeah,
and then
played the whole game.
Yeah, the whole
forced
game.
a fumble.
Yep, whole
Almost
game.
had an interception.
Yeah, and then came back and played all of Morningside and went and played.
I thought Briarcliff was going to be his last game.
I did
he
too.
got hurt pretty early on, and that's the game he really, really wanted to try to just give everything he's got, and then he found a way to protect himself. And still, I mean, just because he's Kaysen, that's not the reason why I was playing him. He was still producing at a high level,
of course.
So
yeah,
right,
absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of upside coming in. So what, at this time, no staff changes that we know of, and you just never know until after the speed dating in February.
Yeah, no, I mean, Cade, Kloster-Hodak decided he's just going to get kind of into the workforce.
Yep.
And that's usually, it's tough for players you don't really know what coaching is, and you try to explain to them, like, this is, it's your full-time job. You're not just working somewhere else and you're making, less than $900 a month, for 10 months. And so hopefully, had some conversations with Kaysen about being a GA. So,
Yeah. Well, again, that opens up a spot for you. And then, again, obviously wish Cade nothing but the best. Love him.
No, it was not a angry parting of ways.
No, absolutely not.
Appreciate everything he did, because he I've known him since he was a little freshman.
Yep.
And so I watched him grow, and he did a lot of good things for us this fall.
Sure did. So yeah, we got a lot of upside coming Waldorf's way, and then obviously we're looking forward to it. We got this off season, and spring ball starts when? Like
spring ball
April
will start
9th?
March. It'll start after spring break. I can pull it up real quick.
Well, I got the countdown clock going.
I saw that.
March.
Yeah. So how does that apply to like daylight savings? Is it irrelevant?
March 18th.
I don't care.
You're like an hour off.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Ramaswamy and Musk are going to get.
They might eliminate it.
They might. Absolutely. I sure hope so.
One of the things, jump back a little bit, we talk about, your staff out there recruiting, you're out there recruiting, your retention is good, and you've got a plan for who you're bringing in, and you're out there hitting it hard right now. The advantages to having good retention is that if you can, meet your mark, whatever that happens to be, the sooner that you can do that, the better. And then that makes it a lot easier for you, not only to enjoy your summer, but to prepare for the next season much earlier.
Yeah,
because recruiting is the business. A lot of people want to get into college recruiting, and they want to get into college coaching.
Yeah,
they don't realize that 3/4 of your job is filling the bench.
And if you don't, hit your number, bad things happen. Not just for you, but for the university. A lot of the financial side depends on football.
Yeah,
doing what we're supposed to do. So the plan is if roughly just use the easy number of 80. If we retain 80, we got 80 guys coming back on the roster right now. The plan is to try to bring in 20 mid-year guys to be here in January. So now all of a sudden we have 100 guys going through spring ball. And that's, those are the transfers that
awesome.
You got to fill in some pretty big holes, but at the same time, you can take a chance on a guy who maybe has a little bit of baggage. You get him into the culture and the brother, because if he weeds himself out during the spring, it's a lot better than on the sideline week 2,
right?
While we're in battle, because you bring somebody in July, it's a little bit tougher to really gauge who they are, especially during the recruiting process. Everyone's pretty much awesome all the time,
right?
Because nothing bad's happening. You're giving me a good scholarship. Oh, I get to go play football, yada, yada, yada. Well, as soon as we're 0-3, now what are you going to do? Are you going to fold on us, or are you going to show us this is the reason why you're here? And we had a couple guys that we brought in July that are no longer with us. Yeah. And that's okay. But I would rather have that happen, in the spring, going in the summer.
May, yeah. Tony Dungy had a rule. He said in his first book, anyway, that when he was with the Colts, and I realize it's a different level of play entirely, but anybody on the staff that had an issue with the ethics or morality of a player, when it came time for drafting, then that worked. Yeah. You could be, an assistant coach, and it's like, I don't think this guy, and this is what, and here's why. And, you can overrule Tony Dungy. Yeah. He stuck with that program, and he said the 5 or 6 times we were wrong, because there were players they misjudged in the wrong way, what made up for the hundreds of times that we were right.
It wasn't the end of the world. And I think right now a lot of the mid-year guys that we're working on are guys that some of our players know. Yeah. And that helps a lot, because now we have at least a little bit of a character reference. If it's a guy that Kaysen Handel knows, and Kaysen's bringing him to me saying, hey, you should look at this guy,
You know that
he wouldn't,
because Kaysen knows the program,
Yes.
and that's what it is. And if you've got everybody's bought in, and you know what you're trying to do, you're all on the same page. You're recruiting for the same.
He's been in
goal.
Forest City already for
Yep.
4 years.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. And we've got a couple. Jeremiah Hurd from Milwaukee played a little bit this year as a redshirt freshman, but he's bringing me a bunch of guys all the time, and he loves it here. And I think after his freshman fall, he wasn't sure if he loved it here. Then he went through spring, and then he had some success this fall. And so now the guys that stick it out, because usually your freshman fall is the hardest of your, if you have to play right away, that's going to be really hard because you're not going to do great all of the time. And then if you don't play, it's like, well, I just came from high school and I was the guy.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm not. So either way, it's pretty tough until you can really see the success and the growth your second year, for sure.
So what can we do, the Gridiron Club, Coach, to enhance the experience of what we've successfully marketed as the best small college football program in America? What can we do? What can our listeners that are Gridiron Club members and donors and that type of thing, like the money goes to the program, and so it's something that, like how can we look forward to enhancing that camaraderie, that team experience, that buy-in, that the universality of, hey, we're the team, we're 0-11 and we're not looking back.
Yeah, I think two things come to mind right away. The first thing is, we want to buy our guys protein powder to drink immediately after every single workout. I don't know how much that costs. I don't know how much we'll need. It'll be a lot.
Yeah.
We will need a lot. And so
10 or 20 pallets.
And that's
Costco.
Yeah, no, seriously. But
I got a
think about
membership.
this. Think about this. Pretty much no NAI school will do that, right? Because it does cost a lot of money. We were fortunate to have the Gridiron Club and people that care. So imagine if you're a kid and that actually makes going to weights a little bit more enjoyable, because now it's not, I have to go to weights. It's not really even doing anything. It's early. It's 5 a.m. Well, now you got coaches there. Hey, buddy, you ain't leaving until you drink this cup of protein powder. Now it's almost like that you're going to get better. You know that you're in there with everybody else. And then the other thing that comes to mind is, how can we help our guys in the summer? We want to bring the target date's going to be July 9th. It's the Wednesday after the July 4th weekend. And, we're going to open up a dorm for the guys. I kind of want to make them have to pay for that because I don't think it's going to be super expensive for them. I think our school's going to work with them pretty well. But then how do we, provide some team activities or meals, or not every single night, because they can eat chicken and rice and broccoli. That's not very expensive. But how do we get them out and into the bunker or into the in the D-Jack parking lot with the grill making burgers and brats and that kind of stuff. So those are two really big things for me, because I think it does two things. I think it builds team chemistry, both of them do, and we're going to get better from it.
I feel like what you're actually doing is just recruiting another championship team for Pucker Brush.
Ooh. I think
We could have multiple teams.
Yeah,
Well, they're not taking my trophy.
No.
That thing sits in my office. It's shiny. I did pour a drink in it the first night.
Yeah.
I cleaned it, but it sits there. I talk to families about it. Like, hey, our coaching staff, we all live here in town. We don't punch our clocks and go to Clear Lake or Mason City. We're asking your kids to come live in Forest City. We do too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we love Forest City, and Forest City obviously loves you, and that's something that is, it's so evident, and it was commented on by every team that came through at a home game, and particularly deep in the season.
Yeah.
Where we know what our record is, and they're like, "What in the world? Why do you have so many people here?"
How's this happening?
Coach Ryan told me, he said, "You still got supporters?" And there was a supporters. It wasn't supporters. It was a question mark.
Like, really?
I said, well, I have at least been here. I haven't been at the helm for very long, and I'm still learning and growing and all that stuff, but I've been here, so I'm a familiar face. But, I think last spring was our first spring doing the spring cleanup again.
Yeah.
You know, doing
yeah.
doing things like that again, getting the coaching staff out and doing the pucker brush. You know, we didn't know what to expect. None of us have done it. Just be kind of silly. People will laugh at you, but it shows them that you're human and, you know, you're not some just football coach. You know, you like to have fun and you can laugh at
It's huge. It's being present in the community is important, not just for Waldorf football. It's important for Waldorf University.
Yeah.
What's going on at that small campus? There are so many things happening. It is its own community, and sometimes, you see that community kind of focus inward, and you really want it to be opened up, and the football team is a great way to do that. I know that the basketball team does some things too, and we've got a lot of support there in the community. They have a unique situation where they're here much longer than everybody else.
they are.
And
they're here over all the breaks. You know, our guys get to go home. They're playing basketball
sure
through
are.
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
It's huge. You know, you're the coach that brought you here, Josh Littrell, I mean, that was a guy that really got that stuff fired up, and he was, on the golf course, and he was talking to everybody, and he was making friends, and that's how you get a gridiron club. That's how you get, a tailgate area that's full and is built and continues to grow.
Yep.
And of course next year Doan's going to come up here, and we expect we'll
get a visit
we
from a friendly
to see
face,
the
I'm
Littrells
sure.
up here. Yeah. So, but that's what it is. I mean, you're the obviously you're the boss of the football team. You're the general or the admiral of that whole program. But man, you've got a responsibility in the community too. And I know you like to golf, so that makes it easier. And when you golf, you meet all kinds of community leaders and people, and
You bet.
a lot of you find out very quickly that a lot of them, regardless of their position or status in the community, are really crappy golfers, just like I am, and
Just like the rest of us,
and that's how So it's those type of things that that you're doing, and obviously the more successful you are earlier on with recruiting, the more time that you have for that. Your staff has time to recoup and look forward and prepare for the next season. And I'm very excited about this summer, and I'm excited about spring ball before that. But are we going to be doing any type of signing or anything like that? Because that was something we didn't do last year. I know that they changed a lot of things with FAFSA and just different types of deadlines, and so it kind of threw everything off. Last year we didn't do a signing, but we certainly could if that's something that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, we used to do our signing day social at Adler's, and
That was always fun.
And that's when we were able to go through, up to that point, how many guys had we signed mid-year, how many guys are in the boat right now for high school kids. So, I think it's good to at least let the community know, at that point in time, February 6th or 5th or whatever it is, if we've got, 20 to 30 guys, that's a really good start, and then,
huge.
You got less than 20 guys you need up until August. So the better we do at the mid-year is going to set us up, because if we can be at 100, now you're recruiting 30 to 40 high school kids instead of last year we had to recruit 80.
Yeah.
We came in under our number. We were at about 122, 135 to be pretty healthy. And have, some JV games or developmental games, or when guys go down, you're not looking at your sideline like, well, we've only got about 80 guys on the team now.
Right.
So there's some benefits to having some guys in the reserves too.
I think it's exciting to be what I consider really the ground floor, starting with a new conference. You're not a new coach, but this is you've obviously grown into it and got a lot more comfortable here in the last couple of years. And so this is something where, you have to build your own team, coach, and you're doing that with your staff. You've got that with your players. And I mean, this is the ground floor of what I think is going to be a wonderful era for Waldorf football.
And for me, you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, and this isn't a knock on anybody, but I have to be involved on every aspect of the program. I can't just assume on either side of the ball that everything's going swimmingly. I have to make sure that it is what I want it to look like. And, you know, I told my 2 coordinators, which feels awesome to say that I have 2 coordinators, and hopefully bringing in Case and I can kind of just be the floating head around and doing all the head coach things. And, you know, I'm going to grill them pretty hard before Christmas and say, this is, you know, I'm going to call them our identity meetings. Who are we? When you turn on the film, well, who are we? What is our identity? And, you know, this is my plan for this program. This is what I want it to look like. It's your job to figure out how to do it.
Well, I can tell you that part of the identity, which is evident from this season, that you can be very proud of, is that never quit is absolutely a part of that. Because, you know, you're wondering sometimes with the record, you know, what are we playing for? What is this all going to amount to? What's the point? Blah, blah, blah. We've got so many injuries. And yet every single game down to the last down, the last series, you know, of the last game.
And I thought that was the most evident. So, too, the Briarcliff game coming back, we've had arguably more talented players on previous teams, and never, if we were down 2 scores, we never came back.
No,
ever.
Because
there was always the pointing of the fingers, and we actually came back, took the lead.
Yeah.
We didn't win because that was the first time we had the lead. And so you have to learn.
What do we do now?
Yeah, what do we do now? It's over? No, it's not. It's not over.
Yeah.
So that's a learned thing. But then also the Morningside game. You know, we had them 3 and out a couple times, and, you know, we got a little low because we also went 3 and out, so our defense is tired, and we don't have a ton of backups and everything. And then Jack takes that one back to the house, and it's the middle of the second quarter. It's 14-7 with the number 6 team in the country.
Yeah.
They're looking at us like, oh God, what is going on?
Yeah.
And, you know, they kind of took off from there. But I mean, every Friday I felt good that they were ready to go. Every Saturday on the field before the game, I felt good. And then keeping them engaged was never hard. It's just when they're huffing and puffing because they're so dang tired. We just need more guys that can play.
Talked about this in another episode. I don't remember which one it was, but Lou Holtz, his players would say on Monday at practice, like, there's no way we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, it looked a little bit better. By the time he got to Friday, it was like the walkthrough, and like, we already won.
Yeah, we feel good now.
You know,
That's what it's all
and then
about.
you just go through it and execute. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was never really any that I saw, again, fly on the wall a lot of time in the locker room. And even at halftime in those games that were down, you didn't see or feel that there was this death pall going over the entire locker room. Like, well, I don't know why we're doing this. They were having good conversations. They were staying up. You know, some guys would kind of get in their little trance and, you know, kind of start being very introspective about some better decisions they could have made, or, you know, trying to get some other plays. And that's expected at whether you're, you know, up by 50 or down by 40. It doesn't really matter.
You think of the Midland game, you see what happens in college football I don't know if you guys saw rivalry weekend when all the flags were being planted in the 50-yard line of opposing teams, how many fights happened. You think of Midland, we have our Warrior Walk tradition. Midland's all over the field. There are 110 to 110, and our guys walk straight through them. I feel like in years past there would have been a fight.
Yeah, I think so.
There would have 100% been a fight.
Somebody would have thrown hands.
And we were not going to – this is our field, right? Doesn't matter how good or bad we are. This is our field. We're going to do this, and we're going to walk right through you. And there was no – I could tell Coach Gassman was nervous. Michelle was nervous. He said, he was like, they're on the field. Are your guys going to fight? And I said, with all confidence, I looked him in the eyes. I said, absolutely not. As soon as I walked back, I was like, God, I hope they don't fight. But they're buying into who we are.
But that also talks a little bit about the G-Pack.
Yeah.
You know, because I was actually having a conversation with you pregame, and Coach Gassman came out and said, hey, how are things? And of course, obviously everything's fine. And he'd already gotten a call from the commissioner, or he at least been in communication. Yeah. And that's not something that's tolerated.
Yeah.
You know, and that, again, GPAC, the best conference in the United States, in NAI, period. Hands down, nobody's even close. You know, you talk to people that have had experience in, you know, in the Hart Conference, that they say that would have been a brawl.
Could have been, it's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
This is it's professional.
This is a fantastic conference. We're blessed to be part of it, and we have a lot of upside going on, and obviously we're going to be excited regardless.
Yeah, and it's not like we're going to magically be 1,000% better next year. It's all going to be gradual. And the thing I did tell the coaches is there's certain guys, this is an unpopular take from a football coach. There are certain guys that you try not to out-recruit because you want to develop them because they're going to be really good.
Right.
And you don't really want to hinder that by bringing in some guy who maybe isn't as invested as that person.
Yep.
Just because they're better and they might not be here as long. So
Right.
It's a very delicate, but as long as you're transparent with the players and you tell them, I'm bringing guys in to compete with you, it is your job to keep your job. I think that gets them in the right mindset of, okay, coach believes in me, trusts me, but there's not a whole lot of people behind me, so I can't just get complacent
Right.
either.
And I've heard you say that, especially during spring ball, that nothing's guaranteed. You might have been a 3-year starter, but there might be a dude that comes in, whether mid-year or in the fall, that is going to outperform you. So nothing's safe.
I cleaned the captain slate. I got no captains right now because I
Right.
want guys to show me who wants to be a captain. And and numbers 0 through 9, no one has numbers 0 through 9.
Right.
If you want 0 through 9, you have to be one of the toughest guys on the team to get that.
Absolutely.
Those numbers. So those are some cultural things too that we're working through.
Well, that's awesome. And obviously we're going to be super excited to see how, we've got a few months to wait, like let's say 9, something like that. And by that
time to work.
Yeah, by that time, I can't hardly wait to bring my grandbaby out onto the field.
Yeah.
Store field in September. We just found out that my daughter is giving me a granddaughter.
Okay.
So super excited about that, and
Well, you've got a lot of work to do, Andy. You've got a lot to look forward to, and I think we've got a lot of work to do as a Gridiron Club too. And so we're gearing up for. We're going to wrap up our season as far as the Gridiron Club is concerned. With our we have our meeting and our kind of our holiday meeting, and that's going to be fun. We're going to just kind of do what we'd call in the Army anyway. We call it an AAR, an after action review, and see how things went, what we were set out to accomplish, and what went well and what didn't go as well, and how we can improve. And so that's what that's going to be all about. And then we're going to take a little bit of a break as far as the executive board is considered until January. And we've got a thing planned for the end of January where we invite all of our Gridiron Club members and our players. Obviously, will be there, and coaching staff, and we'll hand out some bullsies and see what that's something new that we're in development. And Coach, this won't be the last time, obviously, that we talk to you for a while. We'll have you back here, hopefully, a few more times here in the next month or two as we gear up, as our season continues to roll on here with the Gridiron Club podcast every Friday. And we're looking forward to getting support for our Rise from the Ashes campaign, which is doubly important. We're next step now is to get the trees ordered and set up for spring planting, so we can have them in the ground spring, early summer, whatever it happens to be, and still taking donations for that. Folks, it's December, and you have the opportunity to just get to the website, the WaldorfGridironClub.org, and donate $300. Put Rise from the Ashes, or just put tree in the notes. That'll be fine. We know what it's for, and I think we've got enough to do about 35 trees right now, and we want to get to 60, but I don't know if we'll actually plant 60. I think we might do more around the 40 to 50 range. We'll see how the donations come in. But part of that is we don't know what future development's going to hold with the west side of the stadium, and there were some trees that we took out there on both ends, and so there's some good things happening in Waldorf and development and that type of thing. So it would be foolish to necessarily plant trees that would have to come out anyway. So there's good things happening there, but we want to encourage you to send your check, or just go to the website and make the donation, $300, get a tree in your name or in someone's name that you love, and we'll get these trees planted in the spring.
Yeah, so while our coaching staff is out recruiting, trying to get ready for the upcoming football season here in 8 or 9 months, and trying to get these guys back in, this is where we need your help,
Yep.
So if you're thinking about donating for a tree, go ahead and round it up to $1,000.
Why not?
Yeah, might as well. Say $300 for the tree, $700 for what you're doing. Here at Waldorf University for our football program, obviously we got a lot of stuff to do, and we're gearing up. We're trying to figure out how we're going to do things better to continue to make this the best small college football experience in America.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, everybody, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to listen to our little corner of the world. Coach Chapa, thanks so much for coming out.
Appreciate you guys.
No, appreciate you, man. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. For Troy Thompson, this is Andy Buffington. And forever and always, go Warriors. You can join the Waldorf Gridiron Club and be part of the best small college football experience in America.
Just visit our website and pick your membership level. Find us and everything Waldorf Gridiron Club related, including professional photos, at waldorfgridironclub.org.
You can also click on the Support the Show link in the show notes to donate.
And you can even use the United States Postal Service by sending your check to the Waldorf Gridiron Club, P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa, 50436.
It's tax exempt, hassle-free, and has a level for every budget.
That's right. Anyone can join, even our rivals.
Show your colors. Join the Gridiron Club today.
Get it?
Got it. Fantastic.
The Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast is hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson. Produced by Sunnyside Farm Studios in beautiful rural Forest City, Iowa. Platformed by Buzzsprout and music by Soundstripe. The Waldorf Gridiron Club is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the student athletes of the Waldorf University football program. Our mission is to assist the program in maintaining the best small college football experience in America.